Hi there, my name is Marnie Dow. I serve as the Assistant Director for Student Involvement in the Office of Student Involvement and Activities. And today I'm going to bring you this webinar about how to use the Event Pass feature of the Involvement Center. We have some on our website, some instructional videos for students who are just attending our events, a quick 50-second video that'll show them how to check in. But what this webinar is really going to focus on is if you are an event planner, how to create events in the Involvement Center, and then how to check in students to your events, and lastly, how to pull the data on who attended your events. So hopefully this will answer all of your Event Pass questions. I'll make sure to remind you all at the end, but if you have any questions that aren't answered in this video or you're confused anyway, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can do so by emailing involvement@unlv.edu. and I will happily answer your questions. So when we talk about the Event Pass feature, there's two ways that we talk about it, from the student attendee experience and from the event planner experience. So we're going to talk about both of those, but first I want to talk about the student attendee experience. So as an attendee to an event, when I go to an event and I see that they're using Event Pass, what that looks like is it means that they are digitally checking people in by scanning a mobile event pass on a phone. So a couple things about that. We want to make sure we understand that there is a privilege in assuming that every student who comes to an event has a phone with internet access. So there's a quick and easy way, which we'll talk about a little later, to check students in if they don't have either internet on their phone, or their phone's not working, or they don't have access to a mobile device to do check-in. So we will talk about that later. But generally, it's the idea that a student is walking up to an event. They're going to have their digital event pass on their phone. They'll go ahead and just scan it and then be checked in really quickly to the event. What's some really nice features about the event pass is that a student's event pass never changes during their time as a student. The way I like to explain it, it's very similar to the key tags that you might have on your keychains. So for example, if I'm a customer at Smith's and I have the discount key tag, that barcode on my key tag never changes as long as I'm a customer at Smith's. Every time I go to the store, they're going to scan the exact same barcode. It's very similar with your event pass. Once you access your event pass, that QR code on your screen will always be the same. It's not event specific, it will always be the same. So what's really nice is once you access it the first time, you can screenshot it or save it to your mobile wallet or Apple Wallet, and then easily access it at your next events without even having to have access to the internet. It usually only takes a student, maybe 30 seconds or so the first time that they're using it to access their event pass. And then hopefully they save it to their phone and can easily check in for every event moving forward. So that's the student experience. Also, you'll notice in that student experience, we didn't ask them to download an app. What they're using to access the event pass is internet access on a website that they already have access to, which is the Involvement Center. Even if a student has never logged into the Involvement Center, they still have an account in the Involvement Center using their ACE account, even if they've never accessed it before. Okay, so I'm going to switch to the other idea, which is the experience for event planners. So if I'm planning an event for my department or student organization, I can use this platform in the Involvement Center completely free. It's available to all 400 student organizations that we have on campus and any department who'd like to use it. I will note that if you're a department and you don't already have a page in the Involvement Center, all you have to do is reach out to me. It takes me about a day and I'll create a page in the Involvement Center, and then you have full free access to this function as well. Just remember, you don't automatically have a page the same way that student organizations do. But again, I can turn around a page for you in about a day. Just reach out to me. So the experience for an event planner is twofold. You'll first have to create an event in the Involvement Center, and then you'll use the Event Pass app in order to check people in. We'll go through that whole step as we continue through the webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that you can see, so I can walk you through all of these features. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to show to you is the Event Pass resource website. So on the Student Involvement Activities website is an Event Pass page. It's unlv.edu/SIA/Event Pass. If you can't remember that address, you can always just search in the UNLV page Event Pass and it will come up. So this will walk you through the entire Event Pass process. What it looks like from the student perspective that we talked about. There's a quick 50-second video on what that looks like for them. Because of the webinar streaming, it's not, a video doesn't stream well, so I'm not going to go ahead and play it here, but I would encourage you to watch it here. And then it talks about the other side, which is what we're going to focus more on. I'm an event host, and I want to use the Event Pass. So step one is to have access to the Event Check-in app. I mentioned earlier that students who are attending events don't need access to the app, but if I am a student organization or department who's hosting an event and I want to utilize this, I would need to access the Event Check-in app. You can download it from either the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. You just navigate by searching Campus Labs Event Check-in app. Or you can click either of these and it'll take you directly to that page. You will need to download that free app in order to do check-in. I'll walk you through what that looks like a little later. So once you have that available, you want to go ahead and create an event. So not only are you going to create an event for check-in, but we always want to encourage departments and organizations to use the Involvement Center as another marketing tool. You can create events in the Involvement Center and any student can see what's going on. So I'm going to quickly switch over to the Involvement Center and show you what I mean. So on the Involvement Center, when I log into the Involvement Center, this tab here that says Events, I can click here and it's going to tell me about any event that happens to be coming up on campus. You will see a few events on here that are not open to everyone because I have full administrator access to the page. But I could search through and look for events on a specific date, or I could search for a specific event, or I could just browse events that happen to be going on. So in order, if you want to use this as another way to highlight the events that you have and promote them on campus, we highly encourage you to do so. It's not just so that you can check people into them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create an event in the Involvement Center and show you how it works. But on the Event Pass website is a full tutorial with screenshots. So after you watch this video, if you need a little help, there are full screenshots here in this tutorial that you can watch. But I'm going to actually go ahead and do it so you can watch me create an event in the Involvement Center. So I'm going to start from the main page of the Involvement Center. If you haven't already done so, there would be a blue box here that says sign in. So you want to make sure you're signed in. You have very little access in the Involvement Center without signing in. So once that's the case, you're going to scroll down to your memberships and choose the organization from which you want to create an event. I'm going to create an event that is hosted by Student Involvement and Activities for this demonstration. So you click on the page, and then as an officer or staff member in the organization, you will have access to this Manage Organization button. If the organization, if you do not have that Manage button, it means you're not listed as an officer. So I would have an officer in your organization designate you as one, or reach out to our office and we can always help you as well. So I'm going to click on the Manage Organization button, and this is going to take me into the full features of your Involvement Center page. So from the hamburger menu in the top left corner, I'm going to choose Events. And then any event that I have scheduled coming up will be listed here. But for this demonstration, I want to go ahead and create a new event. So I'm going to click this blue button that says Create Event. And then I'm going to start to work through these questions. So for this purpose, I'm going to go ahead and start an event called Donut Appreciation Day. Okay. I'm going to choose that this is a social event. And then I'm going to put in a description. So this is where I say, come to the Student Union Ballroom and join us as we celebrate all things donuts. I might also add, for this purpose, I won't go ahead too in detail, but I might also add in lots of information about what we have, what's going on at the event, what it looks like, what activities might be going on. You can also see that you can embed a YouTube video in here as well. And you can change the font and bullet points, etc. You can add in a hyperlink, anything like this. This is where you're really going to describe your event. So if you are co-hosting this event with another organization, you could put in a co-host. For example, I might be hosting this with the Student Organization Resource Center. Any event can be co-hosted with another organization. The upside of doing that is that now the event appears on both organizations' pages. For this demonstration, I'm not going to use a co-host. So my Donut Appreciation Day, I'm going to say that it is on August 31st, 2020, and it's from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Then I need to add a location. So I have two options. I could include a full map to the event if I wanted to, but for the sake of this presentation and for most of our events, I typically don't include a map, and I just put in that it's in the Student Union Ballroom. It's up to you, which is more appropriate for your event. And I'll hit save. Okay, so I'm going to put in some details about that event. So you have this option to show to. So you have four options. The public means that anyone who navigates the Involvement Center, whether they log in using their ACE account or not, is going to be able to see that this event is happening. Most typically, you would choose public because you want anyone who could possibly see that event to have access to it. You could also change that to students and staff at UNLV Involvement Center. What that means is they just have to be logged into the Involvement Center, but anyone with access to the site can see that the event is happening. Organization members would mean that exactly that, and only members who are part of that organization or department's page would have access to see the event is happening. Or invited users only, which is the most closed of the options. That would be if you only wanted a handful of people. That might be if you were doing an e-board meeting and you only wanted to invite the board members. That's when you would use that. Also, if you're using an event as a placeholder for just general check-in information, maybe for a staff training or something, you could use invited users only as well. For this purpose, I'm going to say that this is a public event. The rest of these are optional questions. I am going to choose that a category for this. I'm going to choose that this is a entertainment event. But you could choose any of these. If you happen to be doing a Welcome Weeks program, that option is there as well. And then if I have any perks, often I would tell you if you have food at your event, I would highly encourage you to select that, or free giveaways as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click the next button. So this is if I want to accept this page for RSVPs. If I want to accept RSVPs, I have a few options here. So who can RSVP? So if I choose anyone, then it's exactly that. Anyone who's logged into the Involvement Center can RSVP. Only invitees is exactly as it sounds, and no one. So I'm actually going to explain why I would encourage you often to use the no one. When you denote that no one can RSVP, it just means that you are not accepting RSVPs, and it doesn't put the RSVP box on your page. It just looks like you can come to the event whether you RSVP or not. So typically I choose no one, but I will show you the options if you do. Some really great features here. So you can limit the number of spots. Say you're doing an activity that you only have 30 chairs in the room. You could limit it to say that only 30 people can register for this event. And whether you want to show how many spots are available. This event, I'm not going to limit RSVPs. You could allow guests. So anybody who's coming could allow guests, and I could say they could have one guest. This would be really good if you're having like an induction ceremony or something, so you can get an idea of how many people to order food for. I'm not going to include this here. When RSVPing, they could be asked if they want to be representative of a specific organization. Again, I typically don't include that, but you may want to. And then this is a really great feature. You can add questions. This is a great way. These are custom questions. So what's really nice about this is if you need to gather additional information, for example, a t-shirt size, what size is your t-shirt, or do you have any dietary restrictions, or would you like chicken or vegetarian? Any of those would be really great ways. So you can include a little summary information if you wanted, but then this is where you could build in any custom questions. As I said, typically I don't include RSVP information for our events because we want to just say they're open and available to everyone with RSVPs. But if it is an event you want RSVPs for, you have all of those options. I'm going to go ahead and change this to no one and then hit next. Okay, so you can build in, if you would like, an automatic feedback or assessment survey for your events. Same thing, you can create some custom questions. And then if you click this box, within 72 hours after your event, everyone who is checked into that event will automatically receive an assessment in their email. For the purposes of this, I'm not going to include an assessment. Okay, and then this is also where you can upload a photo image for your event. So if you have any marketing materials, this is where you would go ahead and upload that. You would click on this image and upload it based on these guidelines here. If for some reason you don't have an image, you can continue without uploading a photo, and it will put in a stock image, which is what I'm going to do for the purpose of this demonstration. And then that's it. You're just going to go ahead and click the complete submission button. Okay, so now this event exists and will display on the events calendar. We'll show you the details of your event. If you need to make any edits or changes, you can do that here. If you need to cancel your event, remember I mentioned a stock photo would be populated if I didn't put in any information. So this is the back end, what you as an organizer will see about your event. Now that I created that event, let's go to the main events page on the Involvement Center. And let's see if I can find that event. Donuts. Because I just created the event, it may not be in there quite as quickly, but that's where a student would then be able to search for the event. Because I literally just created the event, it's not going to show up. But that's where I would search for it. Okay. Apologies. Okay, so that's what you would do way ahead of your event. Typically, I tell you it should be part of your marketing plan when you create the details of your event. But you can always do it up to a day ahead of your event if you forgot to market it and you want to use it for event pass check-in. You just need to have an event to check people into. If you're a student organization, you need to do that at least one business day ahead of your event. If you're a department, you can do it at any time. Okay, so now that your event exists, let's talk about, it's the day of the event, and I want to do check-in for that event. So I'm going to switch to this presentation to walk you through, walk you through what that looks like. Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning of this presentation. Okay, so this is how we actually use the event check-in app to check people into your events. Here's some basic information about what Event Pass is and what you need. So again, from the guest perspective, all they need is access to the Involvement Center through a mobile device. Again, we'll talk about a workaround if they don't have that. And then you as an organizer, you need to use the Event Check-in app on a mobile device, whether it be a phone or an iPad, and then an access code, which we will talk about in a minute on how you're going to find that. So before your event, you want to make sure you've created the event in the Involvement Center, download that app, and find your access code. How do you find that access code? So in the Manage function of your page, I will again move away from this presentation and show you by actually navigating to it in the Involvement Center. So again, I logged into the Involvement Center. I'm going to find my organization that's hosting the event, and I'm going to click the Manage function. Basically what I'm doing is navigating back to that event that I created. I'm going to choose the hamburger menu and hit the events button. Again, all of my events that I have coming up will be listed here. Donut Appreciation Day happens to be at the top. Otherwise, I could search for it here and type in donut and it will come up. See, there's Donut Appreciate. Apparently I used Donut Day as my example many times. So I'll click on the event that I created. And here is my access code. So you will need this in order to do check-in. You'll notice that I didn't have to do anything to create it. When I created this event, it automatically populated the 7-digit alphanumeric access code. That's all you're going to need in order to be able to use the event check-in app. So this is how the day of your event, maybe, you know, when you're setting up your check-in table, you just want to go ahead and find this access code and then make sure everyone who's doing check-in has that access code. Typically, if I'm running an event, usually I'll find that access code and text it to everyone that is doing the check-in table, or I'll even just write it on a Post-it note and make sure they have it at the check-in table. So going back to the presentation. So once you have your access code, these are all the steps to find that access code. You're going to use the event check-in app to actually do check-in. So typically, if I were doing this presentation in person, I would bring some iPads and encourage you to use your phones and the iPads to actually touch the device and do the check-in. Because we don't have that opportunity here in a virtual format, I'm just going to show you screenshots of what it will look like. So when you open the event check-in app, here is what the app looks like. It's just going to ask you very simply, what is your event code? That's that 7-digit alphanumeric code that I just showed you how to find. You're just going to type that in here and hit the Start Session button. It will then ask you to sign in using your ACE account. Once you're signed in, you're just going to go ahead and click the Start Scanning button. You're going to hover the device over an individual's event pass, their QR code. You'll see exactly as this image here is doing. And then you'll see it right here as well. And then you're going to hit that button that says check in. That's it. That's all it takes. That individual is now checked in to that event. It only takes about 3 seconds for everybody to scan them in. It goes very quickly. Remember I mentioned earlier, we wanted to make sure there was a workaround in case someone doesn't have a phone, doesn't have internet access, their phone's not working, whatever the case may be. So there is a lookup feature in the event check-in app where you can search for anyone who is in the Involvement Center. You can search for them by name or email address, but typically I would encourage you to search for someone by email address because there may be 15 Joseph Smiths in the Involvement Center, but only one joseph.smith@unlv.edu. So an individual's email address is much more unique, and you will find that person very quickly. And it does have to be a UNLV email address, so either at unlv.edu or at unlv.nevada.edu. We don't store any data in there based on Gmail or Hotmail or any other email service. So you'll just tap that circle button here that says lookup, search for them by their email address, their Rebel Mail or email address, and then you'll hit that check-in button again. So that's it. That's all you have to do to check people into your events. So after your event, you whether it be right after your event or a few days later, you're probably going to want to know some information about your attendees. Oh, I apologize. Before we go into that, I want to talk to you about how you can get real-time data on your attendees. We'll talk about after the fact. But while you're checking people into your event, you want to be able to see how many people are at your event and who's there. On the event check-in app, in the bottom right corner is an attendees button. When you click on it, it's going to show you how many people are checked into your event and who happens to be checked in and a timestamp for when you checked them in. Okay, now post-event, how do you get your data? So what you're going to do, now again, I'm going to navigate away from this and actually show you instead of showing you screenshots. So it's after your event and you want to find out who went to your event. Again, you're going to navigate back to the details page. Now, right now it shows that 0 people have attended this event, but if say right away when after the event I come to it and 20 people came to the event, it will now show me 20 people attended. So I can hit track attendance. Again, it would show me that 20 people attended, and it would list who those people are. Now, what I want to do, if there were any information in here, I could hit so that would just tell me who it is. But if I wanted an actual spreadsheet of data, I could hit the export button. And you'll see at the top, it says that your file request has been submitted for processing. You may visit your download page. So I'm going to go to the download page. And there is my report for Donut Appreciation Day. I'm just going to download that report. You'll see it downloads a CSV file. And after a second, that file is available for me to open up. Now, because there's nobody who attended this event, it's not going to show any data. And I don't want to pull up a sample because I don't want to show any private information for any student who may have attended one of our events. But this is what your report is going to look like. It's going to show you first name and last name for any attendees. They'll all be listed here. Their campus email, preferred email will only populate if they have put in another email in the Involvement Center that they like. Attendance status, it will show attended there. It might also, you have the ability after the fact, once someone's checked in, to change that to excused or ahead of the time. So it might say something else, but generally it will say attended. Marked by, it will tell you who checked them in. So say you have 3 different people doing check-in, it will tell you which line they checked in. That can be really nice if you're assessing the traffic at your event. So say you have 3 different entrances, and I know that Marnie was checking in at 1, and Savannah was checking at the 2nd, and Megan was checking at the 3rd. By seeing who checked them in, I'll know which entrance that person came into. That can be really nice if for the next time we're doing the event, maybe we think, oh, I don't know if I have enough volunteers for 3 check-in spots, which one was least busy, that's the one I'll omit. So it will give you who that is. And then marked on is going to give you a timestamp. So that's really nice to know traffic patterns. So say you have an open house style event that runs from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And next time you do this event, you want to know, well, were we busy that whole time? Should we make it longer? Should we make it shorter? So if your timestamps show that everyone came at the very beginning, or you had a rush at the very end, or no one came for the first hour, it gives you data to make changes to that event moving forward. You can add a comment in the Involvement Center. If you want to add later on, you can do that. And then card ID number will show you that student's end sheet number. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen. There we go. So that's the Event Pass app. That's how you check people in as an event organizer. I think that it's a great application. It's free for everyone to use on campus. Again, like I said, it's available to all 400 of our student organizations for any event that they're doing. And it can be made available to all of our departments if they just request a page on the Involvement Center. To do that, again, just email us at involvement@unlv.edu, and I'll happily create a page for your department so that you can use this feature on campus. Hopefully that answers a lot of your questions about the Involvement Center's Event Pass app and how you can utilize it for the events that you have coming up. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, it's involvement@unlv.edu. Thank you.